Hey guys, Graham Elliot here. I'm in Abu Dhabi at the Abu Dhabi Food Festival, and what I'm going to be doing is a quick little dish that you're going to be able to make at home and you can use as a blueprint to jump off of and make your own thing. So what we're going to do is a risotto, but we're going to tweak it a little and finish it with some brie, throw in some wild mushroom, and then it's also going to be served with some caramelized scallops. So we'll go ahead and get it going. We've got a hot pan. More importantly, I've got some hot stock, because the worst thing you want to do is take cold stock, throw it on the rice, and that really stops the cooking process. So this cool little cheat that you have there. First things first, we're going to get those mushrooms going. Some good amount of olive oil. You don't want to be scared. Boom, boom, boom. Don't be afraid of the flame. Always get going with that thing. Right here, a little minced onion. You could do shallot if you want. Throw that in. And now garlic has more sugar in it than onion, so it'll burn a lot quicker. So don't get into that habit of throwing them in at the same time. It's not a cool thing to do. Throw this in. Let that cook for a couple minutes, then we'll throw the garlic in. So you can see, I wish you could smell at home what this is all about, because it's like life-changing. It's so good. That's why onions and garlic are like the base of every dish around the world. Doesn't matter where you're at. So I've got that. Now, some of my garlic. I like to be nice and giving when it comes to garlic. Again, that flavor is just, it's magical. So if you notice that your pan is a little too hot, you can always kind of slow down the cooking by throwing in some salt, which pulls out the moisture. So it's not only going to season, it's going to help with that cooking of the garlic and onion by steaming it when that water comes out. So we got this going now, and because I'm going to be adding mushrooms to the pan, that's going to bring down the temperature of the pan. So I'm actually, before that, going to turn the flame up a little more. So a lot of cooking at the end of the day is taking something raw, putting some fire underneath it, and making it cooked. Now, controlling that heat is really what will separate a good cook from a great cook. Stir, stir, stir. We've got some wild mushrooms here, black trumpet, yellowfoot, and chanterelles. So, you know, when you get these mushrooms and you taste them, you can be blindfolded and kind of know what the forest floor is all about based on these things. So, throwing them in. I'm making enough for, like, you know, maybe one portion, so you get an idea of how much is going to go into like each of those dishes. You can also do this family style, you know, for a dozen people coming over to the house for a party, or, you know, a couple portions for the family. And again, you want to season every step of the way. So I'm going to go ahead, throw in a little more salt. Get those going. Now we can turn down the heat a little. Kind of tilt that towards you so you can get an idea of the flavor that's going on in there. Everything's caramelizing, getting stuck to the bottom. You scrape that up. Again, those are those natural sugars coming out. You got that. Now we're going to add our rice. So you can do arborio, which is what you'd see in 90% of the risottos, or this, we have carnaroli. And what that does is it kind of helps keep the texture of the grain a little longer. It doesn't get as mushy as quick. So, stirring this around. And again, I'm trying to make enough for maybe 1-2 portions at the most. So I'm not adding a ton of rice. But again, you can do that if you feel like it for a larger group of people. Toasting the rice, that helps kind of sear the outside so that it gets more texture. Because with risotto, it's really important that it doesn't only taste good or look good, but the texture is such a huge part of it. That nice creamy mouthfeel is what we're looking for. So you also notice I'm using a wooden spoon because it doesn't conduct heat the way that a metal spoon would. When you get all the rice stuck to that metal spoon, at the time that you're done, you're about to eat it, you have creamy, parts of risotto with little crunchy bits. Not cool. Right here, we've got some mushroom stock. I'm gonna go ahead and start adding that in. And you'll notice, unlike pasta, we're not just adding it all at once and boiling the rice. We're gonna add little bit by little bit. The rice is gonna suck all of that up, and then we'll go back and add some more. But again, if this was just a cold pot of stock or water or any flavor like that, as soon as you put it in this pan, it would slow down that entire cooking process and throw it off. So make sure you have that warm and good to go. With mushroom stock, it's great to take mushrooms, clean off the stems. If it's portobellos, you scrape off the gills. Pieces that you would not usually use, cook them off, little garlic, onion, some herbs, cover it with water, let it simmer for a while. And again, you get this gorgeous, rich brown jus that just has so much flavor. And you're always looking to concentrate and back up the flavor that you have as much as possible. So you're cooking with chicken or lamb or vegetables. However you can get as much flavor out of that as possible is what you need to do. As you can see, starting to get almost like a porridge-like texture. As soon as that starts to get a little drier, we're gonna add some more stock. And you see I got my pan over here and I've got my scallops, gorgeous scallops. But I don't want to cook them too early because then they're going to get chewy, rubbery, not what we want. Again, texture is such an important part of what we do here. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add that stock again. And this is a fun dish that you can do with friends or family, again, at a party, some kind of special holiday dinner, something like that, because you're sitting around that pan and it's way more fun to do it with other people in the kitchen. So you're talking, you're hanging out, drinking whatever you want to drink, having fun, and music in the background. The kitchen is always the heart of the home. So the more people that you can get involved with that, especially the kids, that's so cool. The kids love to cook now. Get them in there, have them help stir, have them help grate some cheese, clean the mushrooms, things like that. Makes them understand where the food's coming from, what goes into it. And then as they get older, they have such a greater appreciation for it, just like music or art or anything else. So you can see again, the texture that we have here. Give it another probably 2 minutes and we'll add some more. Just about there. And look at the color of that. Just because of the concentrated mushroom flavor, it's gonna be delicious. The other thing that I like to do, whether it's at the restaurant or at home, is cook within the season. So you're tasting the food, you know what the weather is outside. Maybe it's asparagus in the springtime, it's some gorgeous figs in the late summer, in the winter, maybe it's some more root vegetables, things that are a little heartier, so that you're not just depending on food from all over, but you're trying to use as much that's local and helping out those that are very passionate about growing their food and harvesting their food, raising the animals as you are in cooking it. Doesn't matter where in the world you are, that same philosophy carries everywhere. From fine dining to the lowliest mom and pop kind of shop. So we're stirring. You also see, I like stirring in the same direction. I'm not kind of going in there and mixing all over the place, which is gonna hurt the grain. If you are gonna spend 20 minutes stirring a pan, doing all these little steps, you gotta make sure that you do it right. You commit to it. Otherwise, no reason to do it. You just boil some pasta and do that instead. This isn't something you can really fast track. Pepper, we got white pepper here. So pepper starts green on the vine. You lay it out, it gets roasted. It'll have the black shell on the outside that most people are familiar with, and that gives some robust flavor. Here I'm doing white pepper just because I want some of that heat to cut the richness of the rice and cheese, but I don't need all that pepper flavor. But again, use the rice as a vehicle. If you wanted, you can go crazy, throw in chilies or pomegranate, anything like that. This is up to you. There's no real right or wrong in cooking. It's however you feel at that moment. I'll go ahead and start finishing up the last bit of stock. And now that this is in, I'm gonna go ahead and start my scallops. Make sure that Temperature of the pan's good. I'm gonna go ahead and season these scallops up. I like to season like rain, so it gets all over there. I don't wanna just throw a little bit so that when you have a bite of scallop, one piece is seasoned, the other's not. So there you go. We get a little bit of our oil here. And don't be afraid to use oil, fat, butter. A lot of people get scared, they think it's bad for you. You're not gonna be sitting there drinking the oil out of the pan. You're just using it to help take it from raw to cook. So I'm gonna kind of dab these off to get some of that moisture off. This will help it caramelize. Give it a quick little shake just to help make sure they're not sticking too much. Go back, get our risotto. Turn that down because now we're just about to the end of it. A lot of times people get really fussy with their food. I think that maybe they've seen it on TV and they think they're supposed to sit there and shake the pan all day. Just leave it, let it cook. Again, fire, a piece of metal, putting in some protein, let it sit and do its thing. The less that you can mess with it, touch it, things like that, the better it's gonna be. So now I'm gonna go ahead and check these. You notice I'm using a spoon, nice and gentle. Last thing you wanna do with seafood is go in with giant tongs and like kind of manhandle them. Beautiful, delicate. Scallop was alive yesterday, harvested out of the ocean by somebody that cared about it, sent here, shuck it, put it in the pan. You don't wanna sit there and again, kind of destroy it. Nice and gentle. So we're gonna go ahead and flip those. And then we'll turn that heat off because it's going to continue to kind of carry over and cook. You got a nice sear on those. Risotto just about done. And you see that we put in maybe a cup of rice, but that as it absorbs that liquid, now you've got a pretty good amount of risotto. All right, so we're about to finish. We got our scallops caramelized, setting over there. Our risotto here, beautiful texture, mushrooms. Now we're gonna add our cheese. We've got our brie here. You can do any cheese that you want. I like brie just because it's pretty mild. It's not too heavy. It's not too pungent the way that maybe a Roquefort or blue cheese is. And also, it melts really easily. So you can see, folding in last second, turn the heat off. It's gonna emulsify, almost give it a nice sheen and creamy texture, just like you were adding a really beautiful butter at the end. So we added our cheese. You can see it's melted, it's beautiful, and more importantly, emulsified. So not gonna have that greasy, kind of broken, or what we call in the kitchen, split kind of deal. You're gonna have beautiful, gorgeous sheen. Risotto, you see, you wanna be able to shake it and have it kind of evenly go across that plate. Got our scallops here. 1, 2, 3, plated, nice, natural. You always notice in nature that there's no 90-degree angles and there's no even numbers. Everything's odd, so you want it to look nice and natural, so that's why we're going with 3. Throwing some herbs. There we have it. Caramelized sea scallop with a brie and wild mushroom risotto. Simple and more importantly, delicious.